Now more than ever, innovative technologies are fueling change and sparking new ways of thinking. Collaboration between corporations and startups is key to staying at the forefront of these trends. However, finding the right startups can be expensive, time-consuming, and ineffective. But Plug and Play is here to help. As a corporate partner, you will gain access to a whole ecosystem of innovation. Discover startups that meet your tech interests. Stay updated on the latest trends and network with industry peers. We will help you during every stage of your innovation journey, no matter where you are and where you want to go. Get in touch today.
So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We are super excited to start this Summer Summit Day 7. One more year, we are bringing it to the comfort of your home or workplace virtually, but we are trying our best to keep the Silicon Valley entrepreneurial spirit and excitement through these various presentations and startup pitches. So welcome to the day 7 of our summit. Today's session will be focused on mobility. So first of all, we would like to thank everyone that has made this possible. So thanks to the startup from the different parts of the world that are here today. Thanks to the corporate partners who have dedicated the time and effort to help build this innovative ecosystem. Thanks to the team for spending endless hours for achieving successful engagements between startups and corporations. And last but not least, thank you for joining and supporting the startup companies and the growth of Plug and Play mobility platform. My name is Clara. I'm on the mobility vendors team in Spain, and I'm very happy to welcome you to this session in which we will have amazing speakers and startups pitching, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's see the agenda we're going to have today. We will start with some opening remarks, an overview of the trends in the mobility market that I will be presenting. Then we will have a fireside chat between Jennifer Elftmann and Ali Tamaseb. Then we will move to the startup showcase, where we will have 17 startups that were on our Spring Accelerator program, and they will be presenting their solutions. You will have the chance to vote on the People's Choice Award for your favorite startup, so don't miss that. And finally, we will have some closing remarks and also a networking session through this platform, Attendify, in which you will have the chance to interact with the startups, partners, and other attendees. So let's start with the trend overview. As you know, the last 12 months have been very challenging for the mobility market. It has been an unprecedented year that has left its mark on the sector. Some trends have accelerated, some other trends have slowed down. So let's see what's the situation now that we are approaching the end of this first half of 2021. We have identified some major trends and we have classified them on these 4 topics. First, we will start with mobility services, then we will look at autonomous driving, electric mobility, and finally connectivity and human-machine interface. So mobility services, first, one of the major trends of this last year has been the fact that movement of people stopped while the movement of goods accelerated. So because of the traffic bans and border controls and mobility restrictions to reduce the spread of COVID, we have seen less people moving, less commuting, less leisure travel. But on the other hand, we have seen how people tend to purchase more from online stores and the growth of e-commerces has accelerated. So as a result, we're seeing big delivery companies and e-commerce increasing their revenues by 5 to 10 times. We have seen a special growth in emerging markets. But on the other hand, we have seen large layoffs from mobility companies such as Uber, Lyft, or Bird. Some companies such as these Lyft and Bird that are micromobility companies experienced a huge deceleration initially. They were very badly affected by the first lockdowns. But then we are now identifying a kind of recovery and also reinventing. So they are entering into new spaces, such as the delivery space. And also we are seeing a behavior shift in the users. So now people prefer to be isolated and outside while traveling. So micromobility companies emerge as a good alternative to public transport. Now let's see what's going on the autonomous driving. We have identified like kind of fluctuation on the market of AV, but we are also identifying some consolidation movements. So first, as it's a high cash burning business, AV is likely to be the first thing to be cut for large corporations when the economy enters into recession. So that's why we are seeing a lot of AV companies that have laid off thousands of employees and some AV companies shutting down in 2020. Also, we are seeing how AV technology is still not ready. But on the other side, countries are adopting legislation that will allow driverless vehicles on public roads. So we are also seeing some activity in large rounds, some AV companies raising large rounds, and also some consolidation movements in the form of acquisitions and companies going public. So let's look at some of these movements. So for instance, in 2020, we had Toyota investing in Pony.AI, Bosch also partnering with Pony.AI, Amazon, for instance, acquiring Zoox. And some of the more recent ones in 2021, we had Microsoft investing in Cruise, the General Motors subsidiary, and Woven Planet, Toyota subsidiary, acquiring Levels, which is Lyft AV division. So in terms of electric mobility, we have seen that EVs have been validated by the market in 2020. So despite a general downturn in the mobility sector, EV sales have grown despite of COVID. We have seen also some big EV companies have experienced growth on the stock market, and also some automotive OEMs that are setting ambitious goals of EV sales for the coming years. This is also a consequence of countries setting also ambitious goals in terms of policies for promoting electric mobility. And finally, in terms of connectivity and human-machine interface, we are seeing how human-machine interface innovations are demanded for new in-vehicle experiences. So with no driver in the car in the future, we need to redesign the entire space and in-vehicle experience. Companies such as Tesla are already working on that. And we are probably going to see more and more traditional OEMs following the same path. Most of the technologies are going to be related with voice, like voice AI, chatbot, voice recognition, gesture recognition to video monitoring, and some new materials also. So artificial intelligence continues to be the core of these human-machine interface technologies. The main problems they are trying to solve is the communication between the vehicle and the passenger or the driver. Some use cases or applications are, as I said, voice AI that provide customized chatbot and voice-based services, or gesture recognition solutions that help cars to interact with passengers, and also new materials that are like interactive. And finally, in terms of funding, we are seeing late stage funding fueling commercialization of connected car technologies, but also some early stage funding of new innovations. So for instance, some of the problems they are trying to solve are the security issues related to transferring data between vehicles and control centers. And some of the solutions or use cases are, for instance, cybersecurity solutions for connected cars, integration of vehicles to 5G networks, and also edge computing solutions. We are also seeing how OEMs are partnering with tech companies for enhancing connected vehicle solutions. So for instance, we have a partnership between Honda and Verizon announced on April that is aimed to enhance vehicle safety using 5G. So they are trying to help drivers to see things before the human eye can register them. And that's all for the trends overview. So now let's see a bit how Attentify works so that you can make the most of this platform that we are using. So the first thing would be, if you want to check the agenda and the pitch order, you should go to live stream, which is this bottom on the left, and you will be able to see the agenda, the pitch order, and you will also be able to take a look at the videos of the previous sessions. So if you want to take a look at the energy session that we had yesterday, or the IoT and real estate and construction, you will be able to do so here too. Then we have the startup booths where you can check the different startups that are participating. You can see an overview of the startups, and you can also connect with the members of the startup. You can send a message, or you can connect with them via Meet Now. So Meet Now is this feature where you can connect with the people you want through direct messages or through one-on-one video chat that you will have if you see that the icon is green. This means that the person is available for a video chat. You can also change your availability on your profile. And finally, we have the community, which is the section where you will be able to see all the attendees of this summer summit, not only the ones that are attending to this mobility session, but also the ones attending to the previous ones. So that's all on Attentify. If you have any other question, you can always go to the help desk that you will find on the top right hand of your screen on the town hall, and we will be happy to help you. So now let's move to partner announcements. I have the privilege to announce our newest corporate partner. We are so honored to have ITT joining our big mobility family. ITT is a worldwide manufacturing company based in Stamford that produces components for the aerospace, transportation, energy, and industrial markets. So I'm very happy to welcome Francesco Lucciola, who will introduce us to ITT and ITT Ventures. So Francesco, the floor is yours.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Francesco Lucciola. I'm here to talk to you about ITT and ITT Ventures. So let me start to talk to you about our group. ITT is a company with more than 100 years of history. We were founded in 1920, and back then we were participating to the communication revolution as a producer of telephone equipment. The company is very different today. We evolved our portfolio, and as you can see, we are a diversified industrial component manufacturer to manage more than 30 global brands and operates in many different industries. Let me give you a little bit more information about our group and some facts. In 2020, ITT generated about 2.5 billion in revenue and had a margin of about 14%. But what I think is actually very important for me to share with you all today is that our company has a strong engineering background. As a matter of fact, more than 10% of our workforce are engineers. From a global perspective, we operate in more than 35 countries and have regional headquarters. One in the West Coast in Valencia, California, one in the East Coast in Seneca Falls, New York, as well as one in Italy, in Barge, from where I'm talking to you all today, about ITT. And finally, one in Shanghai, China. So let me give you a little bit more information about our company, and particularly the many different businesses that are part of our group. As you will see, in ITT and in our group, you will find companies like Koni that manufacture shock absorber for the automotive and the rail industries, but also a company like Goulds that produce pumps for chemical and processing plants, all the way to companies like Canon that make connectors for the aerospace industry. So a very diversified set of companies, leader in their brand, in their businesses, and in many different markets. Let me talk to you now more about our product portfolio and also some of the key trends that we are actually looking and following as an organization. As I mentioned, our company is very diversified, and so exposed to many different industries. We manufacture from brake pads, for a car, all the way to shock absorber that go to a train, or a buffer, that go into an industrial equipment. We also manufacture connectors for a medical device or for an airplane. We do manufacture, control devices that are used, for fluid systems in an airplane, all the way to valves that you can find into a biopharma reactor that produces, modern vaccines. All these industries and also our product portfolio is impacted at important trends, and we embraced the change around digital, material, and sustainability, and we are embracing this also with the ITT Ventures initiative. The initiative is actually identifying very specific investment cluster and investment areas. Those are fundamentally the industrial Internet of Things and artificial intelligence, the advanced material, the advanced manufacturing and robotics, as well as sustainability and electrification. This investment cluster are areas where we're really looking for startups and opportunities to collaborate with technology companies. So now let me talk to you about our approach and the way we like to engage in our startups. It's very simple, and it's built on 3 steps. We have a scouting and idea generation step. This is why we're really participating and very happy to be part of the Plug and Play network. This engagement can evolve into a validation and proof of concept. And if the proof of concept is actually successful, it lands into a real partnership or investment from ITT Ventures. So with this, please be in contact with us if you're interested to know more about ITT, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Francesco, and again, welcome on board. So now I'm very pleased to head over to Jennifer Elftmann, Director of Smart Cities, who will enlighten us with a fireside chat with Tamaseb, partner at Data Collective VC. So without further ado, let me give it up to Jennifer.
Thanks so much for the kind introduction. I'm glad to be here with you all today during the Summer Summit. My name is Jennifer Elftmann, and I'm the director of the Smart Cities team here in Silicon Valley. I work with our corporate partners on defining and executing their innovation journeys, and I help grow our service portfolio to make Plug and Play the best-in-class open innovation platform. Today, I have the honor of speaking with Ali Tamaseb. Ali is a partner at Data Collective, a venture capital firm in Silicon Valley with over $2 billion under management and investments in more than $10 billion startups. He holds multiple leadership and board director positions at companies across the United States and globally. He holds a degree in biomedical engineering from Imperial College London and studied general management at Stanford Graduate School of Business. Ali spent 4 years of researching data about successful and not so successful startups, having created the largest data set ever collected on startups, and shared all his findings with us in a recently published book, Super Founders. Ali's work has actually been featured on BBC, The Guardian, Forbes, Fortune, Inc., The Telegraph, and other media outlets. And we're thrilled to have him join us today. So Ali, welcome to Plug and Play Summer Summit.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. And you're a super public figure, especially here in the Valley, and with a book that was released in May. And I want to get to know you a bit better. So please tell us something about you that we will not find on the internet.
Something you wouldn't find on the internet that is kind of relevant to this is I actually used to be a founder, and I used to work out of Plug and Play. So this is not a foreign land to me. Back in 2015, I used to work on those desks in the accelerator and the back room. So It's good to be back after, I guess, 6-7 years.
That's pretty cool. Well, I'm glad to have you back now with the at this stage. Sharing all your insights is going to help new entrepreneurs that are sharing these desks now.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about what was actually the motivation to spend so much time collecting all that data and then writing a book about it?
Yeah, so this started about 4 years ago. And, it's my job as a venture capitalist to sort through thousands of companies every year to try to see, what are the 2, 3, maybe 4 investments that I want to make that year. And I wanted to do that with data and with correct methods rather than rely on anecdotes and rely on, what people say makes up for success. And I wanted to see if there is anything special and different about companies that become billion-dollar successes with the rest, that, with the other 97% of the companies that do not become one of those massive successful companies. And I looked around and there was no data. There was nothing about this. There's a little bit of research here and there, but nobody has studied this kind of, because the data isn't there and the data is very hard. So I started collecting this data. It's basically, 65 different elements per company around the founder's background, the team, the market dynamics, what the market looked like when they were started, what the competitive landscape looked like when they were getting started, to fundraising and all the different elements about, fundraising history of these companies. And I collected this on all the unicorns started in the past 15 years. And I also collected the same data on companies that raised a minimum of $3 million in investment, but did not become a unicorn at the end. So I was able to, compare and contrast these. And in the process of collecting this data, I realized, so much of our perception about very successful companies comes from media and comes from popular narratives. Very famous stories about startup founders, like the one of Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook or Bill Gates of Microsoft. These are very famous stories and they shape our perception of what success looks like. But there's about 350 unicorns now out there, and they don't necessarily look like, the founders, they don't necessarily look like Zuckerberg or Facebook, which is, Ivy League college dropouts. And there's a lot of other, elements that, our perception about success comes from these, 4 or 5 very successful examples, but the data shows actually they might be outliers or they might not represent the data as a whole. So that's where I decided to turn the data set into a book to show to other investors and to the other entrepreneurs that, what is reality and what is not. And in the process, I got to interview people like the founders of Zoom, GitHub, Nest, Guild Education, and about 15 unicorns, plus investors like Peter Thiel and Keith Bowie of Founders Fund, and Elad Gil, and Alfred Lin of Sequoia Capital, who's the #1 in Midas list. So that was a kind of good experience interviewing these people and adding these stories to the data, and wrote the book during the pandemic, and just came out a couple of weeks ago.
Well, it's really good to see that we have now a data-driven approach to understand what really differentiates a billion-dollar startup from others. And you collected so many data points on all these different factors that you just mentioned, and we're going to dive into these in a second. But interestingly, you said you revealed that nearly everything we thought was true about a startup's key success factor is actually false. So I would like to better understand, what are some of the key findings that you have? What did the data reveal?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of things that are counterintuitive, and I can start talking about a couple of them. One thing a lot of founders want to think and want to say is that they don't have competition. And we generally believe that very successful companies started in markets that were kind of becoming very large, and they were small when they were starting, and there was no competition, and it was a white space. Turns out over 85% of unicorn companies had competition from day one. So when they started, there were other companies doing similar things. Oftentimes, it was from other incumbents. So large, massive, old corporate companies that had existed for maybe 30, 40, 50 years before them. And these startups came in and did the same thing, but much better, and just disrupted them and kind of, ate their lunch and created a market for themselves. That's an example you see a lot in like how Brex went after American Express and MasterCard and Visa. how Warby Parker went after Luxottica and LensCrafters and, all these brands that are ultimately one company. And, in a lot of other things in databases and everything else. That's kind of one example that defies our general perception. The other one is around age. So, most of the examples that we see, it looks like everybody's, a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, college dropout, and, those exist. And we have a bunch of very famous examples about them. And the reason we have this bias is because, those make for good stories and press write about it, and we get to hear about them, we get to watch movies about them, and that creates a narrative bias. It turns out there are more PhD holders among the founders of unicorns than there are dropouts. There are a lot of, people with law degrees, with medical degrees. The median age of a unicorn founder when they were starting their company was 34, which is, a lot older than what you would otherwise think. However, the data showed, there's no correlation directly between age and success. So being younger or being older, that directly doesn't necessarily make you more or less likely to become a billion-dollar founder. There's a lot of secondary factors. You might be 20 years old and you might have already done a bunch. You might be 45 years old and you might not know what you're doing. So it's not about age, and it's about what you've done before. You see this in a lot of other things. For example, in the mix of technical and non-technical founders, a lot of people would say you need one technical founder and one kind of business savvy founder for the best teams. When you look at the data, it turns out actually technical founding CEOs tended to they were more likely to have a technical second co-founder, and non-technical founding CEOs are more likely to have a non-technical second co-founder. So it's like technical, or non-technical, rather than technical, non-technical. So a lot of these things that kind of doesn't intuitively make sense to us, but the data defies that, this is the reality. And at the end, the goal of the book is to break a bunch of these stereotypes. It's not to say, if you're technical, you should go and find a technical second co-founder. It's saying a lot of these things that we kind of make up about what makes up a success. You should be young, you should be an Ivy League dropout, you should have, a technical co-founder and a non-tech, a bunch of these things that we make up. You shouldn't have any competition. A lot of these things just don't hold up, and we should go and look deeper into what makes them successful and what is it that matters. So in the book, I explored like 65 things like the 3 examples that I mentioned.
That's so interesting, especially about the age factor. It gives me hope. my days might still come. 100%. But I wonder, when we look at startups, we always think about, does that person have enough domain expertise and industry expertise? What would you say? How important is that becoming a successful founder?
Yeah, I mean, that's another kind of stereotype, that we think having domain expertise in that specific domain matters too much. It turns out in consumer technology companies, only 30% of unicorn founders had domain expertise, and only 40% among SaaS and enterprise founders had domain expertise. Now, this doesn't mean these founders did not have work experience. On average, they had 11 years of work experience. They may have started their own companies. They may have started companies or worked at companies in different industries. But they had enough resources and they had enough connections, and to go into a new industry, to ask all the good questions, to connect with all the executives, to build a team, to hire people from that industry, and start a massively successful company, even though they didn't necessarily themselves came from that industry.
That's interesting. And you just touched on another interesting fact that we often look after is being a serial entrepreneur a success factor? So have you had success before? Is that a key success factor from your research?
That is like everything, practice makes perfect. So the data showed people who had founded companies before, even if those companies were failures or small successes, they were more likely to start, a much larger company the next time around. So like everything else, people learn. You'll learn from your mistakes. Maybe your first company is a failure, and then the second one is a bigger success. And the data showed specifically that the founders who had a small exit of about $10 million. So these are normally technology acquisitions or team acquisitions in a in their first company or the second company. In the next one, they are much more likely to start billion-dollar companies. So it's about creating that chain of credibility in your brand and being able to hire people and learning from that first experience, and then go on to the second one, and then you may have much larger success next time around.
Yeah, sounds like it's really also training your mindset as being an entrepreneur is part of the journey then.
100%. And that's not to discourage first-time entrepreneurs. I mean, it's by itself an incredible fact that I think about 40% of unicorns were started by first-time founders. But it's mostly that, even a lot of first-time founders, they were not first-time builders. It's this commonality that they had an itch for building. Maybe it was a nonprofit project. Maybe it was a school project. Maybe it was just something they were selling online that turned out to be this thing. I have a good story about this. There's a company called Calm, which is a meditation app. I think valued at $2 billion now. The founder, a guy called Alex, I think about 5 or 6 years before starting Calm, he had started a website called the $1 Million Web Page. This is before kind of display ads was anything. And this website has 1 million pixels, 1 million kind of ads. He would sell them for $1 for each pixel. And, just because the idea was cool, a bunch of people started putting ads on there, and it created a lot of traffic. And, he made $1 million. It was not a startup. It was not a venture-backed company. He didn't sell it. He just, made $1 million from doing something very cool online. And, 5 years after that, he started a unicorn. So it's that kind of itch for building and creating and selling that does really matter.
That's true. That's interesting. I wanted to come back to one point that you mentioned earlier about competition. So I'm always torn, making up my mind. Do I want competition for a new venture, or do I prefer blue ocean and start a completely new market? Tell us a bit more about your findings around that. So is it a good or a negative thing to have a lot of competition or market players?
Yeah, so it depends on the type of competition. So, the companies that were facing, large incumbent, old corporates, they were more likely to succeed. The ones that were going after other startups that had a lot of funding already, they were less likely to succeed. So it really depends on what type of competitive landscape you're talking about. Maybe you're going after a fragmented market. There's 20 players, each of them have a small market share. That's a good thing. So it really depends on the type of competition. But I think in general, the idea that you should not have any competition, that's kind of wrong. And I think 70% of companies started in markets that were already established. It was already large and had competitors in them, and they came in and used the inefficiencies of their competitors to their benefit and executed better and created a better product.
Yeah. So, dear corporate partners who are dialed in today, I hope you heard that. The startups are coming for you. But while I'm surprised by some of these interesting data points, I would like to hear from you. What data points surprised you the most?
I think the domain expertise that I mentioned, that was very interesting. And also the kind of technical with technical and non-technical with non-technical thing that I mentioned. These are kind of some of the more surprising points that came to me. Obviously, there's a bunch of other points, about funding history. For example, unicorns, they tended to raise money faster and at a higher valuation, even from the seed round. So just the fact that a startup is raising at a very high valuation, or like a higher than you think valuation, shouldn't be a discouragement, because a lot of companies that ended up becoming unicorns, they were raising at higher valuations from the get-go, and they may have been raising more money and faster than other companies even from the beginning.
Nice. Yeah, it's really surprising. Coming to a conclusion here, what is from your point of view the magic key to success then? So what matters the most?
Yeah, so I think the goal of the book is kind of to say there is no magic, and a lot of things that we think matters, like age, like being technical, like not having competition, a lot of these things on the surface, they don't matter. Now you have to go deeper. So basically forget these proxy rules, forget these first layer metrics, like, how old are you, or what did you study, or what level education you have, and go deeper into characteristics. Do you have an itch for building? What have you created before? What have you sold before? These are the more kind of interesting things that you should go after. Or like, it doesn't matter if you have competition, what type of competition you have. It doesn't matter if the market is kind of small, what type of growth does it have? So you go one layer deeper in each of these questions, and then you see what are the things that matter. And I think eventually the main thing is this kind of idea of super founders, which is, you start a company, maybe it fails, and then you start another company, it's a small, technology acquisition, and then you eventually go on and create $1 billion company. So it's a journey, and don't expect to start your $1 billion company on your first try. You may fail, and just keep the encouragement and go on and start another company until you learn enough, you have enough resources, and you kind of know things that you should know, then that you can go and start a very successful company next.
Ali, you're an investor. What would you say, how biased are investors based on the myth that you have actually clarified, but how biased is investment?
I guess it depends on the investor and the tier of the investor. I feel like the more bias that we see actually comes from the ecosystem around venture capital. So it might be, media, it might be Twitter, it might be what stories people share, it might be what people say online. So, venture capitalists at the end of the day, if they're good at their job, they don't necessarily have these stereotypes. And a lot of good venture capitalists actually don't have these stereotypes. For example, solo founders, again, that's something that there's a lot of negative association with being a solo founder. The data shows it's not a negative. You're as likely as with 2 co-founders or 3 co-founders or 1 founder. And you see a bunch of good venture capitalists, and they invest in solo founders, so they're not biased, but you hear their stories, you read them on Twitter, you hear them on media, that these things matter, or it's a negative that somebody is a solo founder. But a lot of good VCs don't actually have these biases, or have it less and less these days.
So, well, are there some wrong reasons to reject a funding to a company that you would say, I'm not doing that anymore?
Yeah, I mean, basically these things, these kind of blanket rules that, if you're a solo founder, I'm not going to invest, these are wrong things. If you're non-technical, or if you're technical, I'm not going to bet. Basically, you have to go deep on every single founder and every single company to better understand the characteristics and the traits of that idea and the market and the founder, rather than take kind of blanket rules that, if you have an MBA, I'm not going to invest, or if you have an MBA, I would invest. Kind of these first layer blanket rules basically don't necessarily work.
Yeah, true. And I wonder, can someone just go and read your book and look at all the data patterns and use that to predict and place bets on the right entrepreneurs?
Well, I hope so. I guess, obviously one of the hard things in venture capital is you need to know what in startups to invest, and you need to have the brand, and you need to have the kind of reputation to be able to invest in those companies. So it's one thing to know where to invest. The other thing is to have access to making investments. And that's a harder thing when it comes to, tier 1 venture capital firms, that, what services do you have? What kind of, moats do you have? What kind of value add can you provide to those founders that they would take your money, other than kind of, trying to better understand where to place your bets. And everything is statistical. You might make yourself a little bit more likely to invest in unicorns by, maybe reading the book or using the data. But eventually it's about, what can you add to that company? Why that founder would take your money if they have other options.
I might need to sneak in another question on that. You collected the data over 4 years before the pandemic hit, and we feel like a lot has changed due to the pandemic. Entrepreneurship became really globalized and virtual. It didn't matter anymore where people are and where they're coming from. And so would you new research to start, but is there, in your view, would the same factors apply in maybe 5 to 10 years from now, or what are you expecting to come?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the research is not supposed to be predictive, so I'm not going to claim that any of these things are going to last forever. But, a lot of these things are deep things about character. If you have an itch for building historically, that has been an indicator of success. I don't see a reason why in the future, even if everything is remote or people are working from different countries or talent is more global, I don't see why like traits like that may change. Now, there's a bunch of things about, for example, geography. Historically, over half of unicorns were started in Silicon Valley. Would that hold in the next 10 years? Probably not, because, there's more talent kind of distributed now. But, a bunch of these kind of deeper characteristic layer things that I see in the book, I think they would hold over the next 5, 10, maybe even longer.
That's nice. You know the plug and play ecosystem very well. You know that we have venture capital on the platform, but we have the startups and also the corporate innovators. And so some of them are starting their own ventures as entrepreneurs, some of them carving out, some of them investing in startups or collaborating with startups. So is there anything that some of these findings, how could they be applied to the corporate mindset? What can they take away from your findings?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think, what the data basically is showing is getting to a successful outcome is a journey, right? It takes more than one try. And a lot of times it's not like, you come up with a brilliant idea and it works the next day. These were, none of these founders, none of these ideas were overnight successes. I mean, Clubhouse, it's a big thing now. There's a lot of buzz around it. Those two founders, they failed 9 different ideas before starting Clubhouse. And they were in different industries. I mean, one of the founders had started a crypto company like 10 months before starting Clubhouse. So I think the same mentality kind of, if you look at it from a corporate standpoint, that, you have to experiment. You don't have to think, if I start a venture program or if I start a startup program, that's going to create, a $5 billion company for me tomorrow. It may take 10 tries. And, or, if somebody was running that venture arm or startup, whatever creation, and they failed the first time, don't just fire them, keep them, let them do a second experiment, let them do a third experiment. And, eventually they will create the resources they had, they will learn the ropes. And, maybe if it's the 5th try and after 10 years that, as a corporate, you can create a spin out that is larger than you or more successful than the corporates itself. So just like everything, it takes time and it takes practice. And, know that even startups, it wasn't one night success. So don't expect the same thing to happen in corporates. It's not going to be a overnight success.
That's interesting. That's, I think, a great takeaway for our corporations that have dialed in today. Ali, thank you very, very much for your time. I really, really appreciate that you joined us. Your research is immensely valuable for all entrepreneurs, for all intrapreneurs, every investor in our ecosystem for sure. So thank you very much for being here today.
I was glad to be here. Thank you for the awesome questions. And, hopefully everybody in the audience enjoyed the conversation.
I'm sure. Thank you very much. So here's the link to the book, a website, so everyone can take a good look at the results and super founders. And now let's stay tuned to hear it from our startup pitches for today. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jennifer and Ali, for such a great fireside chat. For those of you who do not already know me, my name is Logan Azelton, and I'm heading the corporate partnerships here at Plug and Play Detroit. I'm super excited as I have the opportunity to lead you all through the next portion of today's session. We will now move right along into the Startup Showcase, where 17 world-class startups from around the world will present their technologies for your consideration. Please remember to cast your votes for your favorite startup presentations using the poll that will appear momentarily on your screen. The winner of today's People Choice Award will be posted on our social media channels shortly after. And now, without further ado, we'll begin the presentations with the batch startups focused on AV and ADAS technologies. First on today's list of presentations is Creation Labs, where they are working towards making safer, more fuel-efficient ADAS for trucks. Creation Labs, you have the floor.
Hello everyone, we're Creation Labs. and we have built a fuel-efficient autopilot for trucks in Europe. My name is Jakub, my co-founder is James, and together we have PhDs and advanced degrees from Oxford and UCL, and have written a best-selling textbook on computer vision. The broader Creation Labs team has an extensive experience from Graphcore in semiconductors, from Amazon and Microsoft in computer vision, and from Lyft Level 5 and others in automotive. Fuel is at least a third of all logistics costs. Our solution is like Tesla Autopilot, but can be retrofitted to existing trucks to drive them more fuel efficiently. That way, we can save about 9K per truck per year on fuel alone, thereby tripling logistics margins. Our device controls the vehicle's accelerate, brake, and steer decisions while under supervision of the human driver. Based on our studies, we can generate about 10.8% improvement over an average driver, and that means that we can pay for the device well within a year. We can do all this using low-powered computer vision and CAN-bus integration with the vehicle. This is a $7.2 billion opportunity in Europe on fuel savings alone, and we will incrementally increase the levels of automation to eventually become Europe's first autonomous trucking company. We have built our prototype, signed initial pilots with Expo, Hermes, and others to install on 40 trucks, and when fully rolled out, these pilots are worth 5.2 million ARR. Moreover, in a year since founding, we managed to get into Y Combinator, raise a $1.5 million pre-seed round, and secured pilot with logistics companies, world-leading tier 1 suppliers, as well as regional OEMs and tier 2s. We have also won and delivered a 120K Horizon 2020 grant, as well as recently winning a 600K Innovate UK grant that allows us to study the effects of our technology on extending range of battery electric vehicles. We are starting with an AI solution that allows us to make trucks more fuel efficient. Our eventual goal is to bring autonomous trucks to Europe. So while the market in America is very crowded, this space seems to be forgotten by European tech companies. So despite being a bigger road contract logistics market of $71 billion, we're the only player focusing on autonomy in Europe. We're Creation Labs, and we hope that you join our missions to make commercial vehicles safer, greener, and more fuel efficient. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Creation Labs, for a great start to the presentations. Up next, we have Cartken, a last mile delivery solution targeting lower density areas.
Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Norville, Head of Partnerships and Business Development for Cartken. Cartken has built an autonomous robot platform designed to solve short distance transportation problems for food, grocery, and other goods. We've created this cost-effective, flexible solution using off-the-shelf parts for robot hardware and a tech stack that can support multiple form factors. Our team comes from Google, Apple, and Bosch, and has a deep expertise in autonomous vehicles and robotics technology. Before Cartken, the team worked together at Area 120, Google's incubator, where we launched BookBot, a delivery robot to distribute library books to children. The team also did some early tests with Google Shopping Express, which was Google's own same-day delivery service, before spinning out to launch Cartken. One use case we focus on is food shuttling for curbside pickup and closed campuses. We do this today for customers in California. We also do local delivery in Miami of food and grocery within a 3-mile radius. Here's a glimpse of what our operator interface looks like. In this video, you can see the robot navigating autonomously to a kitchen for pickup. The orange and green paths show the best route for the robot to follow, and this can readjust on the fly if there are any obstacles that the robot encounters along the way. The camera and AI perception stack removes the need for expensive LiDAR, while still gaining the environmental understanding needed to make this safe for pedestrians. The high efficiency and low cost drivetrain also have some unique features like curb climbing. In addition to the onboard tech, our team has built robust remote monitoring tools, allowing a fleet of robots to be assisted by one person and given the controls to resolve any exceptions in navigation or operations flow. Our current model is built to be sidewalk and pedestrian friendly and is ready for deployment today. It currently holds 2 full paper shopping bags and lasts all day with an overnight charge using a standard wall plug. We have other versions in development that will be used for curbside shuttling with larger capacity and are ready to deploy very shortly. Thank you very much for your time. I look forward to your questions.
Awesome, great presentation, Cartken. Moving right along, we have Downtown.AI, who is using machine learning to analyze and accurately predict the entire human movement in cities. Downtown.AI, take it away.
Hi, my name is Yaron Bazaz, co-founder and CEO of Downtown.AI. Downtown.AI enables for the first time to map, analyze, and accurately predict the entire human movement in a city, including all modes of transportation. Using machine learning, fast GPU data pipeline, and anonymized location data aggregated from 500 million devices around the world, we provide our client a real-time cloud interface that enables them to monitor and forecast car traffic, pedestrian movement, public transit, and micromobility. Using our real-time virtual environment, and with no investment in hardware sensors, smart mobility ventures can now predict hour-by-hour demand and to increase revenue. Public transit services predict demand to optimize scheduling of bus and trains, best location for bus stops, and capital placement. Auto insurance companies are now able to optimize driver risk profiling by understanding the real-world driving behavior of entire population. And cities and Department of Transportation are using us to orchestrate real-time traffic, to reduce congestion and CO2 emissions, and to predict demand to optimize future investment. Our business model is a cloud B2B SaaS with an annual subscription. Our go-to-market strategy is to work with leading channel partners. Among them today are NVIDIA, Arcadis, Dell, and Deloitte. Our core team incorporates data scientists in the area of machine learning, statistics, and GIS, together with smart mobility, SaaS, and mapping entrepreneurs who previously led companies in Israel, San Francisco, and Vancouver, BC. We raise financing from private investors and from leading tech companies. We are a fresh alumni from Techstars and participating now in NVIDIA Inception and Plug and Play programs. We're already generating revenues from high-profile enterprises and authorities in Canada and the US. Our sales pipeline includes telecom, smart mobility services, global consulting companies, authorities, and insurance companies around the world. We are now raising our first VC round. Fast and accurate human movement forecasting would soon become a benchmark in the mobility, auto insurance, and logistic markets. We are leading this front. If you share our enthusiasm and can assist us to grow fast, I will be happy to meet up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Downtown.AI. I just want to jump in here before the next startup presentation and remind everyone to be using the poll feature on your screen to cast your votes on your favorite AV and ADAS presentations. All right, and now with that, we have BASELABS, a sensor fusion software for ADAS and SDC.
My name is Holger, and I want to introduce BASELABS to you. BASELABS is about software for sensor fusion, and sensor fusion is a key technology for automated driving. So sensor fusion development today faces 3 major challenges, and these have been illustrated in a recent McKinsey study very nicely. First one is the productivity complexity gap. So over the last 10 years, the complexity for ADAS software has increased by a factor of 10, whereas the productivity just increased by a factor of 1.5. So we see a significant gap in delivering the software complexity that is required for today's and tomorrow's systems. Second challenge is the maintenance burden. So every piece of software that has been put into live once needs to be continuously maintained. And today, this maintenance already consumes a major part of the available resources. And the resources are connected to the third challenge, which is the talent gap. So there is not enough talent in the market to serve the needs of the industry. Side remark, we consider sensor fusion to be a technology that in itself is not differentiating, at least not for ADAS systems. So we see that a lot of effort is put into a technology that is essentially not differentiating. So I'm talking about sensor fusion for advanced driver assistance systems and automated driving. And I talk about a standardized, modular, and maintainable approach to this software, which is cost efficient and ready for production. I'm talking about sensor fusion as a product. And the product is dubbed BASELABS Create Embedded. And by definition, it's a software library that can be configured to specific systems. And it's not a POC that I'm introducing to you, but it's a product that is in the market today. It looks like this. In the prototyping phase, we have a visual configuration of the system. And this is also one aspect of bringing development speed to our customers. Our customers are OEMs and tier ones on a global scale, and they have different motivations to work with us. So one is to get up to speed with data fusion development in the beginning, so building up data fusion know-how. Second one is that companies that are very experienced want to increase their development throughput and their speed, and this is where we can help. And others just want to have access to a production-grade software for sensor fusion. So let's get started. To solve your data fusion challenges, please feel free to reach out. Thank you very much.
Cool stuff. Thank you, BASELABS. Moving right along, now we have Helix Technologies, where they have pioneered precision antenna, addressing immediate applications necessary for the safe deployment of autonomous vehicles.
I'm James Lewis, CEO of Helix Technologies. We're developing precision antennas that enable super accurate satellite navigation, which is essential for autonomous mobility. Resilient centimeter level geopositioning is now being mandated for safety critical applications, including smart transportation and drones. And at Helix, we've developed antennas that enable dynamic accuracy right down to 10 centimeters in GPS degraded environments. Here's the problem. Today, GPS accuracy gets measured in tens or even hundreds of meters. Buildings, bridges, and vehicles all reflect satellite signals, and the receiver is confused by those multiple data streams. RF and electrical interference also degrades performance, and there's now the threat of malicious jamming or spoofing to contend with. The automotive industry has specified position accuracy of better than 30 centimeters and preferably 10 centimeters for safe autonomy. To overcome these issues, Oliver Leaston, founder and CTO at Helix Technologies, invented and patented our dielectric-loaded multi-filar antenna technology. I joined Oliver to commercialize the development and create a business capable of serving the world's largest customers. And here's why Helix wins. We use a special high dielectric constant material for the core of the antenna, which allows us to control the electromagnetic fields. This makes it very compact, only a third the size of our nearest competitor, and very lightweight. So it's ideal for vehicles, drones, handheld and wearable devices. It has whole sky coverage and ignores reflected signals. This built-in resilience ensures that we get a fast first fix and geoposition is maintained even in non-GPS friendly environments. And here's the proof. We recently won a UK government award to test our antennas in the harshest conditions in London. And here's an example. When we're traveling under a railway overpass, the traditional patch antenna technology immediately confused the receiver and lost position very badly. However, our antenna tracked satellites that were visible only in those glimpses of sky at either end of the tunnel and successfully navigated through. Our initial markets include personal tracking and navigation devices and defense applications, and we're engaged with key players in the automotive industry working towards full autonomous driving. And we're going to target the consumer sector in due course. Beyond GNSS, our antenna technology scales up in frequency and down in size, and we have a roadmap to 5G, V2X, and then beyond that into millimeter wave applications. Based in Harwell, Oxfordshire in the UK, Helix Technologies is unlocking the future huge trillion-dollar markets that are going to take advantage of resilient centimetre accurate geopositioning. We're already selling products and we're getting ready for rapid growth through engagement with global customers. We're ambitious and we want to put one of our antennas into every vehicle, on every person, and into every drone. Right now, we're raising investment to grow the company, and we want to talk to investors and mobility companies about applications and to start the process of putting Helix antennas into products worldwide. Thank you. I'm James Lewis.
Helix Technologies, right on. Thank you so much. And now we have Imperium Drive, where they are enabling autonomous vehicles to safely navigate through complex environments. Here they are.
So hi everyone, my name is Kusha Kave. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Imperium Drive. We are a startup based in London, UK. We offer a technology called remote driving or teleoperation as a service. So our solution essentially is the ability for a human to sit behind a set of controls and be able to remotely drive a vehicle from anywhere in the world. The way it works is that we set up everything end to end for any fleet operator that wishes to have remote control over their fleet. Our solution composes of two sides, one on the teleoperation station, what we call human machine interface, which is essentially a control center with a set of screens and joystick controllers where a human can sit and receive live video and sensor data from a vehicle remotely and be able to control that vehicle by exerting controls at the control center station. On the other side, at the vehicle side, we deploy also our software locally, the required hardware that comes with it in order to be able to send and receive data and be able to control the vehicles. We use cellular communications, the 4G and 5G, to communicate with the vehicle. And our solution is completely vehicle agnostic. So it doesn't matter whether it's a car, a bus, any vehicle that makes economic sense for fleet operators to remotely control them, whether be it because of safety reasons, for worker safety, to remove them from the seats behind a vehicle, or be it for cost-saving reasons, for example, remotely allocating forklift drivers or construction equipment drivers from other countries overseas could have a lot of benefits with different wages applied. But also, remote driving is an essential component of autonomous vehicles. Every single autonomous vehicle in the future will not be 100% independent of human drivers, and will always need humans to be in the loop in their operations at the minimum as a oversight and a supervisory role. But also if something happens with the autonomy, which happens quite a lot and hopefully less and less, but still a human will always be necessary to be able to take control of autonomous vehicles. And we provide all that ability together with the control centers for humans to sit for autonomous fleet operators to be able to take control of their vehicles. In the short term, we are also applying our technology to a very novel use case, what we like to call car hailing. And that is the ability for fetching or booking a car the same way that a user will book an Uber ride. Imagine now you can book a rental car that can come to your doorstep in a few minutes using our remote driving technology. So these cars would be normal shared vehicles that can equip their fleets with our technology and have their customers, their users, order vehicles that can be delivered to their doorstep within a few minutes on their application. And we enable them to do that. By doing so, we believe that we will revolutionize the car sharing or car rental industry by increasing their bookings by twofold. We will solve a very, very large problems for these car sharing fleet operators, which is repositioning their vehicles during the rush hour in order to get more utilizations on them. Just very quickly to tell you where we are, we have we have graduated from TechStars acceleration program. We're currently going through Plug and Play. We also graduated from Entrepreneur First incubation program in Europe, and currently supported by many different organizations that you can see on the right. In terms of the traction, we have a funded contract from UK government to launch the world's first, what we call, car hailing service. We are working also with OEMs, different car manufacturers, because we need to integrate our technology with their controls and vehicle. We already have paying customers in the autonomous last mile delivery sector. On the investment side, we are currently raising our seed round to fund our product development, to get us to our commercial launch in the car hailing space, but also give us enough runway to be able to convert and attract more autonomous vehicle, last mile delivery robotic companies and other companies in the autonomy sector to be able to do pilots and then hopefully convert them to customers. So it would be great if anybody is interested to find out more, to get in touch with me. I'll be happy to jump on a call.
Thank you, Imperium. And just another friendly reminder to be voting on the startup presentations you think are best using the poll already located on your screen. Now we will move on to Ottonomy Inc., where they are making autonomous deliveries utilizing sidewalks, indoors, and curbsides.
Hi, this is Ritukar Vijay, and I'm the CEO and founder of Ottonomy, and we do autonomous delivery for indoor environments, curbside, and last mile. So, if we just have a quick look at the landscape, the digital orders have raised significantly, along with different type of delivery options, which include curbsides and last mile. Also, there has been data from McKinsey, which clearly says that there is a stickiness of 96% of customers if they have a pleasurable, delivery experience. So, what we do right now is more about, providing these deliveries in both indoor and outdoor environments. And that talks about the core offering: curbside deliveries, local deliveries, and indoor deliveries. So, these deliveries are catered to our customers, which lies in retail, restaurants, and airports. So I'll quickly talk about the market opportunity. It's a fairly large market. We have done a bottom-up approach to identify market size of each one of them. And as our go-to-market strategy, we are first of all attacking the airports. If we go towards the solution, we are a cloud-based solution which talks to the customer-facing app and the POS integration at the retail side. And that cloud also manages the fleet of robots for monitoring, scheduling, and control. Broadly, all the mission-critical decisions are taken by the robots with a variety of sensors on the robot, including 3D LiDARs, cameras, and a couple of other safety sensors as well. I'll just quick to one of the most important aspects as well, the network operations console. So we have an inbuilt tool with which you can manage a fleet up to 100 robots. And it not only helps you to manage the robots, but also gives you analytics around robot availability, their charge, their orders per hour, and so on and so forth. We also have a state-of-art teleoperation aspect within the network operations console. Thereon you have the control of the robot in case there is an emergency. Here's a quick analysis with our competitors. None of them, does both indoor and outdoor deliveries. Almost all of them have single cabin, and we have double cabin, with which the throughput of the delivery is almost twice as the rest of them. And most important, right from the day one, our robots are completely autonomous. I quickly move to the, what we have done so far. We have done, outdoor pilots with a billion-dollar e-commerce company. We are the world's first to do fully autonomous airport deliveries at an airport. And we have also, done a pilot with Procter & Gamble for their transit-related products. And the customers were delighted. They wanted to use the service, and we got the real-time feedback from end customers, and that is really promising. I'll just quickly move to the team. So I've been, working in this industry since last 13, 14 years around autonomous driving and robotics. I have around 39 patents in this space, and most recently, I was managing BMW's autonomous pilot project in Germany. The team here is fairly experienced when it comes to mobile robots and autonomous vehicles. And we have the capability to not only quickly build up an MVP last year, but at this point in time, we are putting up these robots and rolling out at 2 airports and a couple of other POCs happening with retail chains this summer. We also have a great advisory board, and so that also talks about their buy-in to the idea. And one of our core investors is Kinetic Ventures, along with some angel investments we receive from Europe, Singapore, and the US. So that's it, and looking for more interaction. Thank you.
Thanks, Ottonomy Inc. We now have Radar Technologies, where they are developing the integrated sensor solution for a level 4 and above automated vehicle.
My name's Clem Robertson, and I am the CEO and founder of Radar Technologies. Our mission is to provide a resilient and sustainable solution that will improve the all-weather situational awareness for future mobility systems. Autonomy is proclaimed to be the fourth industrial revolution, but AI cannot do this on its own. High-fidelity information will be essential to enable the right decision to be made day and night and in all weathers. For example, the radar on an Uber vehicle detected the person was 5 seconds to go, but there was not enough information to make a clear decision. But what if you can make a radar unambiguously tell you what is out there, where it is, and what it is doing, just like a secondary radar used by air traffic control? Our CAV tag identification beacon enhances an automotive-grade radar to precisely locate, classify, and uniquely identify an asset or hazard equipped with our beacon. Think of our beacons, the digital bike reflector, or cat's eye, or high-vis jacket, or a precise landing aid for a last-mile delivery drone. The system can continue to operate without the need for cellular communications or GPS. All new vehicles will be equipped with automatic emergency braking radar from 2022, and many are already. And these radar platforms can be enhanced with the inclusion of our beacon decode software. Our solution augments current sensor and comms systems today, but our unique selling point is we enable a radar to identify things. It's complementary to V2X and DSRC, as it can continue to operate when there's no wireless communications available. The ability to retrofit our beacon offers cross-market opportunities from ADAS, drone navigation, autonomous surveillance, and defense. Our turnkey solution, comprising of a radar, our beacons, and a data platform, will provide early revenue streams into industrial automation and smart city applications, while we commercially trial and standardize the CAV tag technology for use with automotive OEMs. We are leading 2 UK-funded projects to trial our turnkey solution on the road and in the air later this year. I'm a veteran of 4 startups, while Steve is an accomplished entrepreneur with extensive radar and smart road experience. We're looking for partners to commercially pilot our data platform and our CAV tag product during the next 18 months as we look to standardize the solution with support from industry. My name's Clem Robertson. Please have a look at our booth, and I look forward to speaking to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Radar Technologies, for closing out the AV and ADAS pitch session strong. We now have a special case study where we will dive into the collaboration between our batch startup Opus and Daimler. Opus 12 is a batch company that captures carbon emissions where pollution is generated and turns the CO2 into chemicals and fuels. Throughout this brief video, we will get to see their journey as they partner with Daimler through Startup Autobahn. Enjoy.
So at Opus 12, we've developed technology that can recycle CO2 emissions. So we can make products that are normally made from fossil fuels, but we're making them from CO2. So they can end up either carbon neutral or even carbon negative. In partnership with Daimler, we made the world's first auto part made from carbon dioxide. What we did is we took CO2 turned it into the feedstocks for a material called polycarbonate, and then worked with Daimler's existing supply chain, their existing plastic supplier and their existing tier 1 manufacturer to actually make a part that would be compatible with the Mercedes A-Class. And we got very lucky because our champion at Daimler, Udo Geier, was excellent at navigating both the internal organization at Daimler as well as the existing supply chain. So as a result, we built something that people wouldn't have expected was even possible in this time frame. Startup Autobahn played a critical role in this project because I actually came here to Stuttgart about a little less than a year ago, and that's where I met our first key contact at Daimler. And it was great because I was giving my presentation during the startup day, and he raised his hand and said, "Hey, what if I told you that I want this now?" And I said, "Let's do a project together." So here we are.
I heard about CO2 transformation to CO, and my job mainly was building up a production chain from capturing CO2 to making a plastic part, which was this. And this is the beginning of a new journey. To my opinion, we really can transform CO2 into a product. Well, I really loved it to work together with this startup Opus. They really pushed me into building up this production chain. And I really trusted in the project, and I believe in the result. We achieved a very good result in the end. We made a part that really could go into a Mercedes-Benz car. So Startup Autobahn supported me a lot. We went to suppliers to talk to them and trying to convince them. Startup Autobahn helped me in writing a book of requirements that we have sent to Opus. Because we bought, in the end, one of these electrolyzers as Daimler. It's ours. And it was a very nice collaboration with Startup Autobahn.
Fantastic. I hope you all enjoyed that insightful case study. I know we always love to see those successful implementations, so big congratulations once again to all parties involved there. We'll now move right along into the connected vehicles portion of today's summit presentations. But of course, before we move along, I want to remind everybody to be using that poll function located on your screen to vote for your favorite startups. First up, we have Xona Space Systems, a next generation GPS providing high accuracy, security, and availability that the autonomous and connected world needs. Take it away, Xona Space.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Manning from Xona, and we are building the satellite navigation system for the age of autonomy. To fully realize the benefits of applications like autonomous cars, robotics, or drones, the infrastructure that supports them must evolve. This is starting to happen with the expansion of 5G, the rise of satellite internet, and even roads are evolving to 3 dimensions as local transportation takes to the skies. But GPS, the network that all of these systems rely upon, has only made incremental improvements over the past 30 years and is so fragile that a simple 1-watt jammer can disrupt an entire city block. But GPS is a phenomenal system, but it was architected around the user needs of a previous generation and simply does not have the accuracy, security, or resilience needed to support modern applications. Xona is developing a constellation of small but powerful satellites to solve this problem. Xona satellites are designed to provide better than 10-centimeter accuracy through a resilient and secure signal that is 100 times stronger than GPS. Xona system is also being designed from the ground up to operate fully independent of GPS if needed to act as a global backup or alternative. So what makes Xona's solution different? Well, it's very simple. Correction services, which are the current state of the art, only really work well when they have a very clean and strong GPS signal to correct. And this is the major issue, that even minor interferences cause correction services to lose their accuracy. Advanced receivers can help the resilience a bit, but they still do nothing to address the need for an independent backup. Xona is the first ever global service to actually replace the GNSS signals with a stronger, more modern one, rather than trying to just correct the existing signals. And where this gets really exciting is the number of potential use cases for this is absolutely massive. We see this as not only a major step towards solving current challenges for everything from national infrastructure, security to autonomous transportation, but also the system that can begin to create and unlock an entire new ecosystem of applications. Imagine what augmented reality designers or app designers can do when they have reliable sub 10 centimeter positioning as a given input to their system. This is the type of service that billion-dollar downstream businesses are built off of. So to get there, Xona raised $1 million just over a year ago, and since then has picked up several $1 million in government contracts and grants and received multiple letters of interest and MOUs for both commercial and government customers. We've built and tested the core technology and are on track to launch the first 2 demonstration satellites early next year. We are raising our seed round and have now signed a lead investor for that. So right now we're looking both for investors to fill out the round as well as partners and customers in the GPS market who may be interested in using the service. So again, I'm Brian from Xona. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Xona, for getting things kicked off in the connected vehicle space. Up next, we have Angoka, the IoT security startup focused on protecting machine-to-machine communications for smart mobility in smart cities.
Hello, my name is Yuri Anderson, and I'm the CEO of Angoka. Angoka is an IoT cybersecurity company which has been around for just over 2 years. It was founded by 4 serial entrepreneurs who between us have 5 exits, including 2 IPOs, because we realized that security for connected devices was the next big thing. We've now grown the team to 20 employees across our Belfast headquarters and our London and The Hague commercial offices. And we've already worked with some highly prestigious organizations, such as the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre, as well as the Centre for Connected and Autonomous Vehicles. So our focus is on ensuring the safety and resilience of smart cities and smart mobility by securing the machine-to-machine communication of the future. Because in the next few years, there will be up to 1 trillion connected devices communicating over an increasingly complex web of networks. And that means that traditional security approaches can no longer guarantee the end-to-end security of that communication. So this is a big problem, and solving it represents a $50 billion market opportunity. Angoka solution represents a complete paradigm shift. We focus on securing the devices rather than the networks. And we do so by embedding our unique device authentication units into the connected devices. These units contain fingerprinting technology that allows us to create unique and unforgeable identification for the devices. And that is how we create trust in the communication over an untrusted network. The solutions we provide for land mobility secure both the in-vehicle communication between automotive electronic control units, as well as V2X, or vehicle-to-everything communication. And we include both conventional cooperative messaging technology, but also a range of innovative solutions for managing fleets of semi-autonomous vehicles or vehicle-to-grid, for example. Angoka is a world leader in secure communications for air mobility. Our technology allows for the secure operation of drones from authorized pilots, providing a key enabler for beyond line-of-sight flying of drones. Our advanced ID solutions provide not only regulatory compliance, but also allow stakeholders to track the provenance of the data, which is important for everyone from operators to UTMs, the next generation drone traffic management systems. And we also work with British Telecom to build the quantum secure 5G backbone of the future. Angoka provides a core technology to distribute ultra secure quantum keys over 5G to connected devices, such as phones and vehicles. We are already working with a range of partners in our current projects, but we're actively looking to add more. And on our roadmap is also to develop solutions for maritime and satellite communications. So if you're interested, we would like to hear from you. And also, if you're an investor, we're currently raising, so please come and talk to me. Thank you for listening.
Awesome. Thank you, Angoka. And now moving right along, we have Beam Connectivity, a connected vehicle as a service platform. Beam Connectivity, go ahead and take it away.
Hello, I'm Thomas Soares, CEO and co-founder of Beam Connectivity. 4 years ago, I was leading the connected vehicle program for a new entrant into the electric vehicle space. And what my team and I found was that although connected vehicles by cellular and Wi-Fi is becoming more and more prevalent, in general, it isn't done very well, frustrating users and businesses. And when we looked around, we couldn't find a supplier who was able to support us and build a system which met our expectations for user experience, features, performance, agility, and breadth of support. So we founded Beam Connectivity to address these issues. And what we've done then is built a connected vehicle as a service platform. And for our customers, this means they can focus on the value add of their vehicle data while we take care of the underlying connection and ensure this works really well. Our platform has everything needed to stand up a connected vehicle solution for our customers. The electronics and software which sits in the vehicle, a cloud platform for ingesting, processing, and analyzing data, and white label mobile apps which can be rebranded for our customers. And we talk about 3 pillars of our platform. 1, it's versatile. That means we can integrate upstream and downstream very easily. To give an example, we usually have our vehicle hardware integrated to a new vehicle within a couple of days and sending vehicle data to our customers. Secondly, we're high performance. Give an example, we see many OEMs take 10, 20, even 30 seconds between pressing flashlights for locate car in a mobile app and that actually taking place. We're doing that in around a half a second. And thirdly, we're cyber secure. So we've architected using security by design principles, and we're ready to meet emerging legislation in this area. What can we do with this system? Well, a number of things. To pick a few examples, we can take the status of a vehicle and show this into either a mobile app or a portal. We can send remote control commands like lock, unlock, or precondition cabbing. And we can also support our customers in enabling over-the-air software updates. We're just over a year old, and to pick a couple of highlights then, we've deployed our system to 2 customers, and we've also integrated to a data marketplace, which allows our vehicle data to be combined with infrastructure data to launch new mobility services. We're now poised for our next phase of growth, and we've learned a lot about how to position ourselves for this on the Plug and Play program. So we're interested now in discussing our platform with others. We'd like to discuss the challenges that others have in this area, and ideally jump straight to demonstrating the power of connected vehicle data. If that is of interest, please do get directly in touch at these addresses. Thank you.
Thank you, Beam Connectivity. Super cool work. Now, up next, we have Deeyook, a wireless-based infrastructure-free, power-saving, and accurate indoor and outdoor positioning solution. Deeyook, the floor is yours.
Hi, Gideon Rodham here, CEO of Deeyook. Deeyook is about redefining location as a service, and it's great to be here. Why location as a service? Why precise location? Because everything needs to be connected, and everything that needs to be connected, you really know where it is, and that is assets, that is people, everything. Today, no such capacity and capabilities out there. You have GPS on the outdoor, you have multiple indoor technologies, nothing that's ubiquitous, nothing that's scalable, nothing that's precise across wherever you need XY or XYZ location. What's the Deeyook solution? The Deeyook solution is location in the cloud, small, low power firmware on the client, and that provides you a fully scalable, unautomated service bootstrap, beautiful solution. Remember, the solution is self-learning. That means no site surveys. That means no infrastructure deployment. All you need is the firmware on an OFDM-enabled radio, moving around, collecting information from the transceivers, access point base stations, creating a digital map. What is the magic here? What are we doing? We're combining 2 things. We're combining interferometry, that is the study of phase differential between rays of light, which in this case are rays of OFDM wireless transmission. And after we do the phase differential, we're taking that phase into our data science machine, into our machine learning, and creating an angle, creating an XY location, calculating that XY location as a geographic location that you as the user can know it's out there. What do you do with it? Location for anything you want. Any tag can be on any person, on any employee, any type of hardware. All you need is an OFDM radio, Wi-Fi, LTE, 5G, any of those radios, and you're good to go. How are we in the industry? truly differentiated on ubiquity and scalability, as precise as anything out there, sub-meter, 10 centimeter best result, but sub-meter in general everywhere, on Wi-Fi, LTE, 5G. Our business model, location as a service. Basically, you get billed when you seek location. You're not seeking location, you don't get billed. So that tag could be there on that pallet moving around for, for 3 months, you don't get billed. Who are we? We are Deeyook. We're in Tel Aviv. We're a small startup, seed 2 years ago, doing our round A this summer, POCing as I speak. Plenty of POCs this summer, looking for major pilots at the end of the year, looking to talk to you further. Thank you.
Thank you, Deeyook. And as another friendly reminder, don't forget to be voting on your favorite startup presentations via the poll that's available on your screen now. Great. And with that, let's move right along into Iomob, which enables connected cars to be seamlessly integrated into the multimodal journey.
Hi, I'm Boyd Cohen, CEO and co-founder of Iomob. We connect the journey for enterprise customers seeking to offer low carbon multimodal to their users. Iomob has been born in a generation where software has been eating the world and has definitely been eating mobility over the last decade. Started with maps and moved all the way through what we've seen as an explosion of location-based shared and micromobility fleets. Iomob is a mobility on-demand platform that aggregates all of these digitization trends and makes them seamlessly accessible to our enterprise customers so they can offer seamless mobility to their users. We particularly are currently focused on major transportation operators, public and private, as well as starting to focus more on the corporate mobility market. What makes Iomob really unique in the market is that instead of offering a single white label walled garden solution, typically with very constrained urban territories, Iomob has both a vertically integrated but decoupled stack as well as a horizontal approach to the mobility on demand platform. When we integrate a mobility service that say operates across Europe or across the US, their vehicles can be discovered, routed, booked, and paid for by any user of any interface connected to the Iomob platform. And our interfaces can be accessible to our enterprise customers via APIs, SDKs, or white label apps, depending on their use case. Here are 4 recent clients for Iomob. We have 2 from North America and 2 from Europe in this particular slide in the transport space. Contra Costa Transport Authority in California, Brightline, the first private rail operator in the US in a century, London Northeastern Rail, which will be the largest single multimodal deployment anywhere in Europe, and Xona Traffic is a regional transit agency. As I mentioned, we're moving into the corporate mobility space now. Those big transport operators help drive the growth of our mobility marketplace, which we can then monetize with other client types. For example, the corporate mobility space, where we are in dialogue direct with corporates who want to offer seamless, sustainable mobility to their employees, but also through major players who have large amounts of employees connected to their platforms, for example, employee benefits companies. And finally, to continue the scalability of our business model, we focus a lot on working with strategic partners, particularly in the public sector, where they can be the primary phase for tenders and just leverage our technology as a partner in the journey. Iomob has a very robust pipeline. We currently make around $29,000 a month in recurring revenues. We're targeting over $100,000 by the end of this year. And as you can see, pretty robust opportunity coming forward with 53 opportunities already in our pipeline. We have 3 PhD co-founders, 7 startups, 3 exits between us. And we have a deep expertise in both the mobility and smart cities, as well as the obviously the core technology and algorithm side of this business. We also have 2 strong recent executives who joined our team from very large organizations in Europe, Adrian Ulisse and Irina, and Adam Chassin is joining our board. He's the ex-head of strategy worldwide for Amazon. Finally, we're in the middle of a current bridge round on our way to a Series A, which we expect to close in early next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Iomob. Now we have our final connected vehicles batch startup of the day, Koffie Labs, an AI-driven insurance for commercial fleets. Koffie Labs, go ahead and take us away.
Hi, and thanks for having me. My name is Ian White. I'm founder and CEO of Koffie Labs. Koffie is a natively digital insurer focused on small and medium-sized fleets. We view on-vehicle technology and safety systems as a powerful means to evaluate changing risk profiles of motor carriers. A bit more about Koffie in a minute, but first to insurance at large. Coverage in this line of business is fundamentally broken and has been for the better part of a decade. Rates have increased every quarter for the past 10 years and have disproportionately impacted smaller fleets. Industry losses have continued to mount. Currently, every dollar in premium is paying out about $1.12 in claims and expenses, and there's no end in sight, with reduced insurance capacity further driving up rates. Runaway juries or nuclear verdicts and a persistent shortage of qualified drivers all add up to what's known as the Satan's pit of insurance. This is where Koffie fits in. Gone are the days where trucks were little more than steel and rubber. Today, they are highly differentiated machines with complex electromechanical systems. Koffie recognizes that in-vehicle technology will rapidly advance, and evaluating the changing risks is a key function of any modern-day insurer. Koffie replaces heuristically driven underwriting, which is quite frankly what got industry into this place to begin with, and replaces it with a data-driven approach supported by modern underwriting. Transparent and instant are two words you don't hear about in the context of insurance very often. Koffie is built on modern day tech and underlies everything we do, from quoting to supporting first notice of loss. Fundamentally, insurance is meant to incentivize for good decisions, but in practice, this really happens. Offering premium discounts where risk is more accurately priced encourages technology adoption while decreasing societal costs. Koffie has partnered with OEMs, tier ones, and aftermarket safety manufacturers, recognizing their equipment can play a critical role in evaluating risk. We know driver assistance systems are powerful in reducing crash rates and severity, yet incumbents don't fully price in their benefits. The mobility ecosystem presents opportunities to partner with a broader collection of companies that have shared interest in more accurate pricing of risk. To grow resilient supply chains and anticipate changing mobility patterns, Koffie is excited to co-develop products that reflect the evolving nature of risk. Thanks so much for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Great, thank you, Koffie Labs. That now wraps up the connected vehicle presentations of the day, so don't forget to vote on your favorite presentations so far. We'll now be moving right along into our third and final mobility batch trend of the day, smart manufacturing and operations. To take us away, we have our car scanner, the body and interior visual documentation of a car within 2 minutes. Car scanner, go ahead and kick us off.
Hi, my name is Sławek Potash. I am CEO and founder of Car Scanner. What Car Scanner does? Well, I'll tell you in a second. For years, car salespeople have gotten a bad rap. They're often described as pushy and even untruthful, which puts many car buyers on the defensive from the very beginning. Especially now during the pandemic, there's a number of pandemic trends. People are actually preferring to use their private vehicles, what drives the demand. People are willing to buy used cars online rather than offline. And if people lose jobs, they're downgrading their vehicles to older used cars. The market is very hot right now. You can see that, for example, Carvana, online used car marketplace, grew almost 10x for the pandemic on the stock. And so where's the problem? It takes about $25 to inspect a vehicle and about $75 in fertile penalties if the car doesn't meet its condition that was presented on the website. So if there's a car auction that sells 1 million cars annually, it takes up to $75 million in penalties and $25 million in labor to inspect those vehicles. And the market is huge. There are about 40 million used cars sold annually in the US, and 9 million of those cars are auctioned. And so we as a company are providing a system that gives 360-degree remarketing overview of used vehicle together with damage inspection and undercarriage documentation as well. Currently, we have Car Scanner 1.0 on the market that provides remarketing footage. Soon we'll also deploy Car Scanner 2.0 to the market that performs body inspection. And we also work on chassis inspection module for undercarriage inspection. Our 1.0 automatically goes around the car and it creates 360-degree overview of the car's exterior and car's interior. So that way you can remotely see the condition of the vehicle. Car Scanner 2.0, however, is going to automatically measure paint thickness and detect scratches and dents, presented in a nice and easy to comprehend report showing all the damages, general information about the car, and heat maps showing repainted car surfaces. For the chassis scanner, we are going to automatically provide our customers with 3D models of the wheels together with panoramic undercarriage documentation. And our competitors are simple and easy to use smartphone apps that are not precise enough and huge drive-through light tunnels that cost well over $100,000 to set up and take over 1,000 square feet. We are a team of 18 engineers located in Krakow, Poland, and in Toronto, Canada. I'm CEO myself, mechatronic engineer. Isabel, our COO, is ex-Procter & Gamble and ABB engineer. And Maciek, our CTO, has over 10 years of experience as a full-stack developer. We've raised over $1.2 million in R&D grants, generated over $350,000 of revenue, and we're processing over 2,000 cars a month. Thank you so much for your attention. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Car Scanner, for your presentation. This now brings us to our last, but certainly not least, startup of the day, Inspektlabs, where they automate the inspection of vehicles using photos and videos. Inspektlabs, go ahead and close us out.
Hi, we are Inspektlabs. We are an auto tech platform focused on automation of car inspections using photos and videos. We use computer vision to detect damages on a car. We have raised our seed round through Titan Better Capital. We are backed by Barclays Bank in London. We have a number of clients around the world, most notably being Liberty Insurance. We've also partnered with NTT Data in Japan, and we have a number of clients in European and India market. Cars are changing hands more often, which requires more and more inspections. We help our clients automating the inspection process. The current process of inspection is slow, which is costly, prone to fraud, and is people intensive. We automate the process. Our APIs are able to accept photos and videos of a car captured by a digital camera or a smartphone, and we are able to assess several kinds of damages, estimate claim value, we read meters, and we also do a great deal of fraud detection work. We essentially specialize in creating machine learning models that detect damages on the car and then use that to take decisions on the parts. We have competition by Tractable, UVI, Video, and Raven. We also want to operate in some notable white spaces such as motorbikes, scooters, and trucks. We are different from other players in one major way, or two major ways. One is that we focus on video-based inspections, which allows us a much higher level of accuracy. If you look at these two photos, it's very difficult for you to know whether this is a shatter on the glass or a wire reflecting from top. So video allows us multiple perspectives and allows us to be much more accurate. It's also much more easier to capture a video by a customer. Secondly, our AI is highly explainable. It can be customized for any client around the world. We've also created some real-time products that focus on edge deployment of machine learning models on an app that ensures good quality videos come in every single time. Currently, we are a team of 20. My name is Devesh. I'm the CEO and co-founder. I worked as a data scientist first and then as a management consultant with McKinsey. My co-founder, Sanchit, is a computer vision expert, and he has built computer vision products for Zomato and IBM. We are in the middle of raising a $2.5 million seed round. In case you're interested, please contact us. Thank you.
And there you have it, folks. The Silicon Valley graduating mobility batch startups of summer 2021. Please do not forget to cast your last votes on the batch startups you thought were the best using the live poll on your screen now. The overall People's Choice Award winner will be posted on our social media channels. So be sure to check us out online after the networking portion of today's session to see the winners. Before we close out here today, I would like to give a special thanks to not only our corporate partners and startups, but also to the wonderful group of mentors. They have been working hard to ensure the success of these fantastic high growth opportunity startups. So once again, I would like to thank each and every one of you for your dedication and continued support to the platform. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today for the Silicon Valley Summer Summit 2021. This concludes the presentation portion of today's session, but I look forward to seeing you all at our open networking immediately following. Thank you all again and take care. Goodbye.
How do you track your team's innovation efforts? However that is, we've got an easier way. Let us introduce Playbook. Playbook is Plug and Play's innovation software. It is an exclusive tool only available for our ecosystem's corporate partners. With it, you and your team will be able to browse your curated startups database, create, discover, and rate lists of startups, track your engagement, pilots, and investments, analyze data from the tech ecosystem, organize private sessions with select startups, and so much more. Hundreds of corporations count on Playbook to empower their innovation journey. Get in touch to start using Playbook today.